Good evening, good evening. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to My Sister's Keeper radio show on Power Play Radio Network. We're on powerplayradionetwork.com and Power TV, so be sure to check us out and view us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter page um, at My Sister's Keeper. My name is, so just to introduce the ladies, if you are joining us for the first time, my name is Tawanika.
And I'm Danita.
My name is DeAndrea.
And I'm Ayolanda.
And we are
My Sister's Keeper. SiSSTAS. Yes.
Speak life into someone so that they achieve success. So just a little bit about us. If you're joining us for the very first time, we're four ladies that have come together to dispel the myth that black women can't get along. We sit before you four women from four different sororities, and we come from all walks of life, and our experiences have led us together just to empower other women. We share the same foundational beliefs and of what it means to be my sister's keeper.
Right, and our focus is to actually restore the woman on the inside so it can intensify your beauty on the outside.
And just so you know, we are interactive, so we welcome your questions, your comments. We're live, so comment. And we also will respond to you. So go ahead and interact with us. And welcome to My Sister's Keeper.
I think it's time to do some shout outs for some people that we want to give shout outs to.
First, we'd like to go ahead and shout out to the Sports Preacher radio show, who is on simultaneously in the studio next door. Here's every Monday night from 7 to 9 p.m.
Right.
It's live right now. So we look forward to co-hosting with them, or he may drop in on us and chat a bit. So we'll be looking forward to that. We also want to shout out and give many, many thanks to Mr. and Miss Willis for seeing the ability in us, seeing this show through, and giving us the opportunity tonight. To our followers and members, or for my sisters, for sisters only Facebook group, you can search for under My Sister's Keeper. So remember to tag a friend, tell a friend, tweet a friend, whatever you do. Get people on and join in with us. So now the time has come. We've been gone for a minute.
Yes.
So you may want to get your beverage of choice. Sit back and relax while we talk about today's topic, which is Own Your Ish. So this is a part of our series, Love Under New Management. And we are going to take a quick break. When we return from the break, we will get into our segment, and we'll be ready to take your comments, your calls. You can post. We're on Facebook Live.
Yes.
So we'll take a few minute break, and we'll be right back. We'll be looking forward to seeing you. Welcome back to My Sister's Keeper radio show on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and Power TV. Again, be sure to check us out on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and view us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter page at My Sister's Keeper. That's
SiSSTA'S.
Yes. And remember, if you tune in on Power Play Radio Network, you'll get to see and hear the show in full length. You'll hear the radio, the songs, and everything. You get to hear everything when you log into PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com. Or you may also call us at 469-996-0804. And again, I'm Tawanika.
And I'm Danita.
I'm DeAndrea.
And I'm Alonda.
And we are
My
Sister's Keeper.
So today, in this segment, to my sisters, we'll continue to discuss the chronicles of My Sister's Keeper entitled Love Under New Management. On our last show, we ended with project versus reject relationships, and that was a pretty hot topic. It took us a couple of shows to discuss that. And yeah, we probably could still talk some more about that. But tonight, however, we're talking about own your ish. That's right, ladies and gents. It's time to take ownership of yourselves. So I'll start in answering, what does own your ish mean to you? And briefly, of course, we talk about being responsible, taking ownership, and owning up to choices and decisions that we made. And I'll start with me by saying, like, to me it means taking a look in the mirror and really evaluating who I am, where I am, and how I got there. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. I'm going to make an assessment of what is going on with me, and then I'm going to put into action a plan to change anything that I don't like.
Right.
Because it's very, very easy to point the finger, to blame someone, to find fault in others, to deny that my choice or my decision got me to where I am at this point in life. But I'm going to stop and take a look in the mirror and say, you know, Danita, hey, you are where you are because you did what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times, you know, it can be hurtful, it can be painful. We try to push it back, we try to bury it because it could be a not so good memory. But at the end of the day, we have to deal with it if we want to be successful and move forward in anything that we're doing. So it just kind of reminds me of Michael Jackson and his song, Man in the Mirror. You know, I'm starting with me. I'm looking at me. He was asking us to change our ways so that would be our contribution to making the world a better place. We don't want to know the truth, so we avoid it at all costs a lot of times. And in my opinion, the only way we're going to make a real change is to ask for God's help. And then when we ask for God's help, we need to take our hand off of it and allow Him to do what He's supposed to do and be obedient to what He says and not try to do it the way we think it should be done.
Right.
In our timing. And that, you know, a lot of times we want to rush it. But at the end of the day, if we wait and we allow Him to change us and to mold us into what we've asked for, then we'll get the results that we want. So just remember, y'all, it's a process. We have a very important part to play in the process. Acknowledge our issues, pray for direction, and then follow the direction by doing the work. So, my sisters, what do y'all think?
You know, I look at it as, what was it, Ayala Van Zet, she said, know you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the first part of owning your issues.
Right.
To know you're crazy. And so You know, we contradict ourselves when, you know, we always want to put the blame on other people. We always say what they're doing, how things are not working, but it's somebody else. And so the first part is to understand that, you know, the work begins with you. It's not them.
Right.
It's you. So, you know, you look at, well, going back to what you said, how do you make yourself better? You know, that's what therapy is for. We'll talk about that as well. Therapy, it is there. If we go biblical, it says seek counsel. If we go New World, it says have someone around you in your circle that will allow you to say your praise is showing.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's what recovery is for. You know, meditation is recovery, prayer, and just being brutally honest with yourself. That's the only way you can really see who you are, you know, owning it. One of the things about maturity is that it's okay to, you know, when your crazy is showing, it's okay to take a moment and say, take a deep breath, and then say, it's me. You know, I find myself doing it more so than not, and you know what, it's actually calming. So in the midst of trouble and dysfunction, you know, everything is going crazy, and you really kind of know that you didn't have a part to play in this, but because you have been thrown into it, you can only accountability. So you can only control yourself, your behaviors, your response in the midst of chaos. Mm-hmm. So owning it means that, you know what, you know, I worry about if other people are not owning theirs. Yeah. It's keep your own, you know, stay on your side of the street. Keep your street clean and honest, and guess what? The rest of it is none of your business. So just be honest and real, and look at yourself. And so I'm ready for today. We get to go deeper into this. But that's just a brief. It's just a brief.
No, you don't think we'll go deep today?
Yeah, I think we will. I was just doing the surface. We're just
with
a high level overview. Yeah.
So, and you know, I think, you know, to tag on to what Dee was saying, you know, you can only control you. But then you really got to strip back all the falsified layers of you. You know, get rid of the what do we call it? The representative. You got to get rid of the representative. So you're right. You got to get rid of, yes, my bill's about to be defunct. Yes, I'm in a broken relationship. Yes, my kids are out of control. But when I walk out that front door, I'm putting it on and I'm painting on this face like I got it all together, which is good. But at the end of the day, like we said, you got to have somebody that you can go to that you can actually say, I'm cray-cray today. You know? And so if you don't have it, then you end up, your dysfunctional of owning your ish becomes your truth. So then you no longer know what's real and what's not. Because you're walking in some high stuff horse manure. Yes. And you don't know because now you think it's real. You know, my kid's out of control. His dysfunctional is now norm. What? No, it's not. It's not. You know, like she said, seek counsel. You know, that's what psychotherapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, church counselors are for. You seek counsel. But before you can do that, you got to really own up to, you know, something is really wrong with me.
But how often will we do that, especially us as black people? We feel like, I don't know that that's a weakness, or I don't know, I'm not going to no counsel. I'm not saying about no matter how crazy you can be the craziest, your kids can be the craziest. Us as a people will not embrace that. Hey, I need to go see somebody. I need to talk to somebody.
I think that's why we have so much emotional lashing out, because you don't know what to do with it. Because you're not talking to someone, so you're lashing out, you know, and you're wondering why everything, you keep repeating the same pattern.
Because you're not doing anything to change it, and we don't embrace the fact that we need the help, and we need to go get the help, you know, the professional help. We can't keep sweeping it under the rug and thinking it's going to be okay, because we're doing everybody, even including ourselves, a disservice. And then our kids that are coming up behind us, you know, even if we don't have children, our nieces and nephews, you know, it just, like you said, it repeats itself because nobody wants to own up to it. And that, like, we have to acknowledge it. And if we don't acknowledge our issues, we can't deal with it. We can't, like you said, the representative shows up and the representative stays in place because, you know, we get so good at playing the part of who we portray ourselves to be that, you know, it just becomes a part of your everyday life and it just remains the main thing.
And that, I mean, that's okay to an extent. I mean, when you go out into the world, Okay, you don't want it to show all over your face, or because it shows. I know me, my facial expressions can show everything. I don't have to say a word, but I mean, it shows, and no, everybody shouldn't see that, or is not supposed to see that and just look at you in your open book and know your life and what's going on in your house. But I mean, you have to be honest with yourself,
Right.
and okay, at some point, this mask has to come off.
I think one that's evident that it doesn't tap, it taps majority of America now is weight loss. Every January, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna lose
The gym
weight.
parking lot
And
is
he goes
packed
like,
over to the street.
but then here's where the dysfunction come in. My job doesn't allow me time, but you can make sure you watch Scandal, Ghost, Power. You make sure that you watch all those. Or you're like, oh, my kid has me running. Well, why your kid's on the basketball court? Why you can't walk the court? So at the end of the day, I gotta own the fact that I'm too lazy, but yet still I look in the mirror. I go in that closet, have that too little baggage, that outfit that I can't squeeze in no more. Look, can't put the rubber band through the loop and make it fit.
Right.
But yet and still, every year I'm doing that over and over, and I never take ownership of my issues. The fact is, I'm too lazy to get out there and do some work. I don't want to work out.
Right. Now, my deal was I want to sleep in, so I'm paying for a gym membership for 2 years and didn't go. But I bet you I get up now and go.
But that also goes back to that false expectancy, that false expectation rather. Right. Whether we're with people, just alluding to what you just said, that I'm busy with my family, so therefore when I go in my closet and I can't fit that too outfit, guess who I'm mad at? I'm mad at my family, because if they weren't taking up all my time, then I'll be able to lose some weight. So and it's with relationships, like you made me mad, so I need you to stop making me feel mad. Right. It's emotion. Like, we are emotional creatures, and so when I'm mad and I want to eat, and so I gained all this weight. If you wasn't, if you was loving on me a little bit more, if you was telling me how pretty I am a little bit more, I wouldn't have to go in. I would have ate that ice cream last night. I went on the border. And so we put those expectations on people and keep forgetting that we gotta own our edge, that it's us. We can only control that. And if we realize that we control it, how much better would our lives be? And we're talking to you because, again, this is a journey for us. This is not something we just wake up every day, but what I've learned is that the moment you put it into action and you come back and repeat the steps and be mindful of the steps, it does become habit. So there are a lot of things in different areas of life that sometimes we only focus on one area and negate the rest. Coming from an educational perspective, we always go into the classrooms and expect that our kids are going to be the smartest kids ever. This is going to be the best year ever. And then when they don't perform, it's the kids' fault. And so at that moment, it's like, well, did you do everything you possibly could by them? And was your attitude capable of being better for them in their failure? So if you take a step back and realize who you are, and that you bring, you know how we say relationships are 50-50? No, really, no. I really truly believe it's not, you're probably at 95%, because you can control 95% of what happens to you.
Right.
And so if you walk into it with, I can control 95% of this based off of how I feel, then you wouldn't allow the circumstances or the issues that come up to dictate how you operate in the midst of it. You'll be prepared for it. You look for it. So, I was telling somebody today that, they were like, oh, I'm so anxious. I'm so anxious. And I said, okay, well, that's good. That's a good feeling. No. I'm scared. I can't. Don't put me in, coach. Don't put me in. The first day of school. Don't put me in, coach. I have to put you in. They're out there already. They're on the court. You got to get out there. You got to get in the game. And so she came back and she said, you know what? I walked into the classroom and I turned around and walked back out and I ran to the bathroom because I was really sick. And I said, okay, so what's making you sick? She said, the fact that I don't feel prepared. And I said, well, there you go. The fact that you don't feel prepared is allowing or blocking you from being the best you. So first of all, we know, I said, are you prepared? Like, yeah, I stayed up. I've done all this all week. I put everything in it. I said, then all they're asking for you to do is be the best you that you can be at this moment. You're thinking for them instead of allowing you to be who you are for them. So, went back in, came back out, end of the day, had the best day ever. Loved it. I said, exactly, because you can only control your emotions. And the moment that they see fear, sorry, children out there, the moment they see fear, they bite. So, again, you have to remain in control of what's going on. And so that's why I'm alluding back to owning your ish. You have to remain in control of what is possible. And the only thing that's possible is your emotions and how you deflect or inflect or project those onto others.
Right. That's it.
Even when you step outside of emotions, let's talk about behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I want a promotion, but I can get to work on time.
Mm.
I want a promotion, but I can't complete a project without meeting the deadline. I want a promotion, but I don't know how to be a leader because I gossip in the office too much. So they already know that they can't trust me with confidential information. So now you go from an emotion to behaviors. And it's still on it because then you look at it and the position comes up and you're like, well, I know how to do the job and I've been here 13 years. Yeah, but your behaviors, ma'am, sir, doesn't align with the leader. So that's not an emotion. That's just bad behaviors that you feel like you can do what you want to do, and there's a time and a place for everything. So then we start talking about behaviors.
Right, because you want to be financial free, but you won't stop maxing out your credit card. You want to lose that weight, but you won't change your eating habits, nor will you work out.
So do you really want to?
Right.
So do you really want to?
Right.
You want to be married, but you want to be single. But you're acting single.
Correct. See, you want your marriage to work, but you won't seek that wise counsel because you know everything.
How about you want it to work, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a husband or a wife?
Oh, yes.
You want a good man. You want a good man, but you're mean to everyone that approaches you.
Ooh.
Or you're in a relationship with someone because you've chosen to be, not that you ever been forced to be. But then you want everything your way, but no one forced you to place in that space. Okay. Just say it again.
Yes.
You want to be. You in a
relationship because you've chosen to be, not in a relationship because you've been forced to be. But then you want to force someone to meet that expectation of your love.
Ooh. Ain't willing to own your own ish.
I'm gonna have to chew on that one. Not for me, but just the whole thought process.
It's like, okay, so you want to be understood, but you don't want to communicate clearly.
But she said you were chosen. Yeah, she didn't say you chose. She said you were chosen.
Yes.
So you got chose, but yet still you're trying to impose your expectations. Okay.
Y'all got that? Y'all got that?
That was a lot.
That's a replay. That's a replay. So it's just a matter of, when is the last time you actually sat down and took an assessment and an inventory of your life, so that you can take responsibility, recognize where you might need the help, and recognize what you might need to change. So doing that is how you start to own your ish.
Yeah.
I think that's really good.
And sometimes take heed to observations that your closest and dearest friends bring to you.
Yes.
We don't want to hear anything. Nobody can tell us nothing, even if it's our closest friend. Well, girl, don't you think you need to? And sometimes it's hard to even come to a friend to, give them a little constructive criticism because you don't know how they're going to take it. I've been knowing you for 30 years, and I want to tell you that,
for 30 years, you've been
and you've been doing this, and then maybe this is why you're not seeing the results that you desire. Maybe this, but then it's, I'm going to go off on her. Who she thinks she is to tell me, okay, well, I'm your friend.
Right.
No, I'm not perfect. Yes, I have this, but hey, I'm just sharing this with you as a friend. I love you. I mean, and oftentimes we're not receptive to that as women.
Right. But if you really want to know, how you are, you ask somebody, but a lot of times we don't want to hear what it is. So we need to put on our big girl panties and suck it up and take what they're saying and apply it.
So do I always have to get it right?
Of course not.
No.
We're going to fail plenty of times.
But accept it though. That's owning your ish.
Right.
Accept it.
When I fail.
Yeah.
Accountability, responsibility.
Accountability,
Admitting the mistake.
responsibility.
Yes.
Accept it. You may go do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But hey, we pointed this out. Hey, yes, I am a liar. I embellish the truth.
I ain't a liar.
Whatever it is. Hey, I embellish the truth a little
My
bit.
name is, and I am.
And I am.
Yeah, so we all need AA. But we need that,
Whatever the AA
the
is.
OIS.
Whatever it is.
The OIS. The OIS.
But yes, and I did it today, and I'm gonna do it next week. But I know that I'm doing this, and I know that I'm doing it at a fault. Yes, that's me. That's owning your issues. Acceptability, accountability. How do I move forward? How do I correct it? Do I want to correct it? Do I want to stay like this? Is it conducive for me and my lifestyle for me to stay this way?
Because it's been working.
It's
And
worked
that's
for
hard
you.
when you have
Right.
elevated
Right.
into a position of power.
Mhm.
Because it's like, well, it works. There's nothing. Okay, so it doesn't work for you. Goes back to what you said. Doesn't work for you. So I can't impose my behaviors on you.
Mhm.
But I think that's really hard when we get to certain levels, because as you elevate, and it doesn't matter in what you elevate in, whether it's a relationship, whether it's church, whether it's work, whether it's an organization, there becomes a level of accountability and expectations when there should not be an expectation. The only expectation should be is that you fulfill that responsibility that you've been asked to do.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, you become a mini God.
Yeah.
And so the expectation is, well, Danita's never on late. Well, why are you late? Well, you threw us off. How did I throw you off? Because I'm late.
Right.
How? I'm sorry. Me being late got you off course. Oh, okay. So I have that much power. Put an S on my chest.
Right.
Right.
And that's what it is. It
But
becomes
we
an
will.
S on my chest because,
We will do
when-
that.
and as women, we become fixers.
Yes. Mhm.
And so now owning our issues, stop being a fixer.
Mhm.
I can't save the world. I can't fix the world. I can't solve every problem. I can offer you my little bit of expertise or knowledge, but don't expect me to fix your issue, your issue.
Yeah.
But do you think we become numb to that? Like you were talking about it earlier. I think sometimes we become numb to it because until you can truly own it, you won't care about it. Like you won't give an ish.
Right.
Unless you own your
Right, you
ish.
don't give it.
You
Kind of
don't.
like I buy you a car and I give it to you. You tear it up. It doesn't matter. But you buy your own car and you tear it up.
Yeah.
Oh, the world will come to an end. Well, why did it come to an end when I've been investing in you?
Right.
Right.
Ooh, that's
Right.
good.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's right.
that's good.
So it really doesn't matter until you have to face the reality and look in that mirror, which is what Danita said, and own your ish. Like, what did I do? Okay, so yeah, I ran the red light. I
Ooh.
got hit.
Mhm.
My mama wasn't in the car.
That's right.
It wasn't the person's driving. Oh, well, they should have saw me coming. No, you ran the red light.
Right.
Silly.
That's why we always have two sides of a story.
Yes. Well, actually, there's three. 'Cause
Then,
there's
and that's
the-
really what
yes.
happened. The truth. It
The
was
left,
true.
the right, and then what's in the middle.
What's in the middle? And so we were self-reflective about what really happened during that time. Then you could actually stop it to say you were wrong, but you can't say you're wrong in the middle of a traffic accident because the insurance company gonna make you pay. You want your insurance to go up. So guess what? Here we
we're not
go.
owning
Two
that.
truths and a lie.
That's
You're
right.
not gonna own it because two truths and a lie. We pass it off. We pass the buck, and guess what? And we'll start telling that story to everybody, knowing
Right,
good and
knowing.
well we were texting on the phone.
And how about it becomes your reality?
It does.
Right, because you
The
had
more you
said
tell
it.
people.
Yes, you were. You do see that camera had you.
Right.
Phone
That
is-
wasn't me.
The
But
phone
that
is
wasn't
between
you.
your legs.
What's that song? It wasn't me.
Yes, he said it wasn't him.
I was looking down. What were you looking down at? The brake? The foot pedal? No. Come on down. But yeah, it's on your ish.
On your ish. So, now I guess it's time for us to pay some bills. So when we come back from the commercial break, we'll play We Sippin' While You Spillin'. So spill it. The question tonight is, what does owning your ish mean to you? And to list 3 things that validate that you own your ish. So give us a call at 469-996-0804 or answer the question online on My Sister's Keeper radio page.
Facebook, yeah.
We live. Welcome back to my Sister's Keeper radio show on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and Power TV. Be sure to check us out on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and view us on our Facebook page. We are live right now. Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope. Our Twitter page is My Sister's Keeper. Now, the show is, we're going to turn it over to you, the listener and the viewer, in our segment called We Sippin' While You're Spilling. So go on and pour your tea, your wine, or whatever, and join us for this segment of our show. So listeners, viewers, if you're on Facebook Live, please feel free to send us something. If you got any questions or you want to chime in on what own your ish, what that means to you, please feel free to do so. So,
it's been quiet on Facebook tonight.
Yeah, it's a little quiet on Facebook. We don't have any questions. Nothing. We want to hear from you. No, to me, back to owning your ish. That's pretty much exactly what it says. I know if you were on the first segment before we went to the break. It's taking ownership of self. You're good, you're bad, you're ugly, whatever that is, just taking ownership of it. Oftentimes we want to tuck away the ugly and the bad, that's not me, and then just only put that good face on. Well, a lot of times that ugly and that bad has transitioned or transformed you in a way to bring out that good in you for some of us. I know for me, I had, there's some things that you had to go through to get to the good side. So don't put that back and, okay, I didn't do it, that wasn't me.
Right.
Not that everybody needs to know your business, but just take ownership of that. And just realizing what you have and what you bring to the table, accepting the past, accepting my past and not being ashamed of it, being able to use my past as a testimony. And that's something, a lot of times when sharing with women and even in talking to youth, I work with the youth in my church, and you try to tell them something and it's just like they're invincible. You can't tell them anything. You can't, just trying to share experiences with them. Hey, this is what happened to me. Being very transparent. Because, with the kids now, it's like you can't hide. I think we had this conversation with Don one day. We sat on his show. Just being transparent. They go through so much now. It's like you can't tuck that away. Okay, yes, mom did this, dad did this. But look, this is how we handled it. This is what we did and didn't do. So putting those things out there with your children, with your friends, and your relationship, and just making it overall a better relationship with everyone, making yourself better. I know for me, when I share certain things with people that are close to me, that makes me feel better. I'm getting it off my chest some kind of way.
Right.
It can even be therapeutic in a way. So, there are oftentimes there are things that we experience, again, that we like to tuck away. Hey, that wasn't me. But yeah, it was you. It is of you. It is a part of you. It's a part of your life. Own your ish. Again, me, myself, I'm a pretty private person. I don't care to share much. And me, Dee was talking about earlier, when you get in, my space is, if something's going on with me, I'm quiet. There ain't gotta be a lot of hoopla. I ain't gotta be around nobody. I ain't gotta have no girl chatting up and talk about it, call a friend. That's just my shutdown. Now, if you talk to me, I'm gonna speak. But other than that, I'm here. I'm just pretty much in my own zone anyway. But I'm really, like, if something is going on, I'm just really, I don't have to do nothing. I don't have to see anybody. That's just the way I deal with it. Until I can process it and work it out and figure out how to move forward. That's the way I deal with it. But, everybody doesn't handle things that way. So then again, it's about owning your ish. What's for you? What are you doing in your lane?
Right.
So that's kind of the way that I process that.
So what validates that you own your ish? Like, what are some things that you guys do to say, this is, I did this, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I did. How do you validate that?
I think my ingredient is self-compassion. You know, self-compassion is going back to loving myself and forgiving myself, and, you know, just saying and treating myself with kindness. You know, sometimes we beat ourselves up so much of how we didn't do it and how it didn't play out and what I could have said and what I should have said. But, you know, really looking at, okay, I said this, so how do I make it better the next time? And if I have the opportunity to make it right, then I need to go back and do that when I have the opportunity. But, you know, really, I think it's just really being honest that you are imperfect. You know, but at the same time, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of being loved. You're worthy of giving love.
Right.
And so in the moment that we just look at ourselves for who we are, if we strip ourselves down, by birth, we are imperfect. And when we die, we will die imperfect. So, how do you just be compassionate about who you are? And so when you're, you know, I look at it from a standpoint, when I say relationship, I'm saying any relationship with anyone. You know, you're not going to always get it right. You're not going to always respond the way, you know, you should respond, need to respond. But I think when it comes down for me, I look at, is that the best way I could have done it? Can I, you know, can I change how I feel about it? If I were, you know, just being empathetic and also putting myself in the other person's shoes. So again, I always have to, and it's so transformative. I'll say it like that. It's transformative because you, again, when you do it, you don't get it right the first time, the second time, maybe not even the third time. But if you just had an inkling that, you know, deep down, that the subconscious talks to you and say, you know, that's not right.
Right.
And then even if you do something, you know you're right, but you still feel guilty about it, I think that's when I realized that that's my growth to own it. You know, even though you know you're right.
You got to take low.
You know, yeah, you know you're right. But at the moment that somebody else, you left somebody and you didn't leave them whole, then the moment I have to, you know, look at myself and say, you know what, oh, okay, how do I make this right? Let me take a step back. And so it's not always, owning your issues, not always being right in the situation either, because remember, you're still controlling who you are and what you have to say. And sometimes, again, I'm not saying by any means to, you know, not speak the truth,
but it's right in the situation.
Right. And so it's like, okay, can this truth be said now, or can I wait to say the truth in another setting?
Right.
So for me, it's just like I said, not being defensive, not you know, self-control. How do I handle judgment? So when I hear the criticism, the more and more you ask for criticism, the more and more you grow in that as well. So you should always ask for, well, how am I doing? Give me some feedback. Did I handle that right? People should be more open into receiving that because it can only make you better. And I realize in my profession that more and more people cringe when you give them feedback, and they become so defensive about what they didn't do. And I never stated what you didn't do. I just gave you the facts of what I saw. And so in a minute they become defensive and they want to, you know, try to tell you what they were doing, what they were thinking, how they could have done it, instead of saying, okay, if this is how this person received it, then how can I internalize what they saw to be better the next time? So, you know, it's a lot of moving parts, but for me, self-compassion, being able to self-criticism, and being self-reflective.
I think it's also, for me, it's when you can actually sit there and take it, no matter how it's thrown at you. You know, it's like you said, you state the facts to someone, but then they come back on the defense. Or you know that you're wrong, you've apologized, and it's like, okay, how? But the apology is not accepted. Why do you still beat yourself up? It comes a point when you have to say, I've done my part. I've done what I'm supposed to do. And then when you can still walk, and then when they come finally back into your life and you can still love unconditionally like nothing happened, that's growth. And for me, those are things that I can say that, you know, I don't sit, wait, and idle, but I keep continuing to move forward. But when that relationship is restored, if it ever is, I don't go back and hash it, whereas I used to. I think a lot of it, how you know that you have grown, and that was your question, how
do you validate that you own your ish? You own your ish.
I think when you can sit down and you can actually have that healthy dialogue, and it doesn't become, well, you did this, you did that. For me, it's when I can say, this is what I did wrong. This is where I'm wrong. This is what I was trying to understand. And it all becomes, so this is one time that you can't, for me, it's one time that I can be selfish because I can own what I did. I can talk about what I did and it doesn't come back with a but you did or but you did not. But it just stops and says, okay, I did this, and it stops. You know, and then I allow you the opportunity, but my compassion for myself is not predicated upon if you respond or not. So for me, I think that's how you know that you've owned your ish. And I think sometimes, you know, going out of adult relationships, when we talk about our kids, when we can admit to our kids, I'm wrong, that's the hardest thing to do, is to tell your kid you've done something wrong. That's really hard to say. You know, your child say, Mom, I got practice at 5:15, and you be like, no, it's 5:30, and then they're late, and then they can't play, and you have, how many times do we go back and say, I'm sorry, or do we say, well, you should have put it on my calendar? No. You know what I'm saying? Mom, I told you, and we're still going back and forth, and we're wanting to prove a point. So I think for me, being able to say to my son, I was wrong, and then go back and say, I apologize. Will you forgive me? I think that's hard because I grew up in an era where it was, don't do what I say. No, don't do what I do. Do as I say. And so if that say is wrong, then I still get a whooping because I did what you told me not to do. You know? So for me, I think those are areas where I can say that I own my ish, is being able now to truly sit down and have a conversation with my son, and it comes with an apology from me as a parent, and not just him sitting there making him feel like he's the victim. And then I begin to watch the transformation in our relationship, where the dialogue becomes open now, because in today's time with our kids, it can go one or two ways. Either they're going to have an open dialogue with you, or they're going to shut down, and then they're going to turn to the streets. And so I think for me, that shows signs of me owning my ish, is that when, you know, being able to apologize, but more so being able to admit selfishly what I've done wrong and not follow it up with a but.
I would agree. That's something for me as well, being able to listen and take constructive criticism. And then even just like you used your son as an example, we want to, you kind of, like the way that I was raised, you don't have to say so. It's my, you know, I told you to do, it is what it is. We're not about to have a dialogue about it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and you're not about to tell me that I'm wrong.
Right.
Because I'm, you know, you the child, I'm the parent, and we're going to keep that boundary.
Right.
And so, again, I agree. I'm dealing with that. I have a teenager as well. And I do agree, just from the way things are going, the way that you are, that if you don't create some kind of openness there and that room for, hey, you know, I've done wrong, I apologize, let's, you know, do it this way. Or, you know, what are your expectations of me kind of thing, they can go in the opposite direction. And so that's validation for me as well, to be able to do that. But then also still keep a boundary still. I'm the mom, you the child.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have a level of respect between us. But do know that if I'm wrong, I'm going to acknowledge it. Or if you see something, share with me. There's still going to be respect. But, you know, there's still going to be openness as well. And also with friendships and relationships. You know, receiving that constructive criticism, taking it, and, you know, trying to move forward with it and make a change. Hey, okay, well, let me sit back. Let me listen and not get defensive when it's presented, because that's your first thing. You're like, well, I didn't. Well, but I didn't. Okay. Well, just let me sit back and listen and step back on my own, in my own time, in my own space, outside of this conversation. This is just personally what I have to do for myself, and look at myself. Okay, did I do this? Are there, you know, ways that I can change, or just pretty much taking a self-assessment in my own time. I think I can receive that criticism, but not just taking it in my own time and working on myself, kind of by myself, and growing from there.
It makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. One thing that I have done is just I don't have anybody to blame for anything anymore. So I have to, I have to accept those wrong choices that I'm making even now, because when I was married, I'd be like, that was you. You decided to do this. This why we like this. Well, now it's I'm still like this, and it ain't nobody but me. So what am I doing? So I'm able to be like, okay, I did it. I messed up. Just being able to take ownership is how I've been able to own my ish over these past few years, and it's eye opening to really have to look at yourself and be like, it really was me doing some of this. Making some of these choices, making some of these decisions to put me in positions and places where I am now.
So with that, do you ever contemplate you should go back and apologize?
No. I have had conversations now. In hindsight, just saying it should have, would have, could have, should have, it should have been different. Yes, I take responsibility for the things that I chose to do, good, bad, or indifferent. Just because something's messed up, I don't need to go and mess it up even further.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, I've actually gone back and made apologies, just because conversations have come up so that we can clear the air and everything is good.
So the opportunity presented itself. You didn't go and say, "Hey, we need to talk."
No,
Okay.
No,
So that door of opportunity has to open itself.
That's it. So no.
But looking at what's happening in current news, news, we have our Charlottesville situation, and we know that our president addressed it in such a way of, if we were talking about owning your ish. There was a blame thrown in there in spite of the apology. So you can't apologize and then throw the but in there about why something was still warranted. So, we could go so many different places with
that.
But, we can look at the First Lady's speeches when one gave one in the White House now, gave a speech that sounded similar to one that was already done by a previous First Lady. And so, instead of just coming out and saying, you know what, we liked the speech. It was a great speech and it motivated people. So guess what? We took it because there were things inside of it that spoke to the people, that represented what we said, and you can't reduplicate that. The words are the words. And so, we don't own it in the sense of, I messed up. And that's why I said it just comes down to, what are we teaching our kids? That it's okay to always have the comma but. It's always okay to have the but. I came to work late, but I'm not feeling my best today, but, the kids didn't eat today, but,
right.
And so, I didn't pay my child support, but, I'm being held down by a certain race, but, it all streamlines to, again, at what point do we look at ourselves for for the role that we played and where we are right now? No one came over and just literally took something from you and said, well, and I'm not speaking racially, I'm saying, right? No one came and said, you know what, I'm going to take away your will to speak. And so that's what I mean by that, because we see what's happening right now in NFL. If we really talk about current news, we always we draw the line. We're like, oh, that's happening in news. That's in the world. But at the end of the day, you have to compare it to what's happening in your life. Because just like how Kaepernick is no longer being able to, he's not employed right now.
Exactly.
There are things that are not happening in your life in the same reason, because you're not owning who you are, what you are, and where you're doing what's happening. And so people may look at Kaepernick as I'm a sports pitcher right now. I'm gonna have to go over there and add to his show.
I know.
But if he's not working right now, people say, oh, it's a reason why. If he wouldn't have done that, then he would be where he needs to be. But at the end of the day, he owned who he was. He stood up for what he thought was right. He spoke out for what he did. And I don't think he asked anybody to black out, to sit out, to boycott. He never asked any of that.
That was their choice.
That was their choice. So he just asked that you respect the fact that he exercised his right.
But in saying so, even with that, now he's having issues trying to become employed.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we also have to be mindful of what we teach the generation that's to come. Yes, he made that choice, but we have to look at the full dynamic. He made that choice knowing that his choice was going to result with consequences, because there is a contract that you sign that you say what you will and will not do. So when you choose to go against that, I have to look at myself and say, am I going to be able to handle myself financially? Am I going to be able to handle myself emotionally? Am I going to be able to handle it when I am made a model figure for society on what's to come? And am I willing to take the backlash? Because at the end of the day, we have to understand that his action brought about a consequence, and his consequence was unemployment. And so with that unemployment, why is he unemployed? People want to say, well, it's because he took the knee. No, he went against something that the league said we are not to do. So there's a contract. I can't go into Deandra's job and say, she employs me, and she employs me to write 15 pages, and I give her 13. What you gonna say?
You're not getting paid.
Consequences of my actions. But we don't teach our kids how to actually take a step back and look at that. So you had individuals who said, let's take a stance, let's do this, let's do that. But we're failing to educate why the action came about, and also to teach them that your action is going to result in consequences. So you have to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, and be able to own any of it, of how it may happen or not.
Right.
And so, I'm not saying that what he did was right or wrong, but let's look at what the consequences were for him, because I can't take a knee at my job. I need my paycheck. So I have to know, am I going to be able to do it? And when I do it, can I go live at one of y'all's houses? Because I'm not going to have a paycheck, and finding a job is not that easy today in today's times. So we have to look at what the consequences are, and we're forgetting, and we're failing, and we're doing a disservice to our kids by not educating them beyond the action. So.
Yeah, we do have to take action. We do have to take action, but like you said, there's always going to be a consequence. There's always going to be something that happens because of the action that we took. So.
Right.
You're right. We have to do both parts. We have to teach them to say, okay, you take responsibility because this is the choice that you made, but know that these are the things that could happen because of the choices that you made. So it's like you said, it's twofold.
So when do we stop making excuses for our kids?
Oh.
At what age do we stop making excuses for our kids? They cussed at 2, it was cute and funny. They cussed at 3, it was cute and funny. At 4, I need to be busting your bottom. But we still think it's cute and funny.
It does be funny. I'm sorry. that is a real live example in my house.
Okay.
Own it.
My son, he was taught to cuss as part of his being taught to speak, and so that was part of his vocabulary. And it would be funny. He would get a spanking, but it would still be funny because it wasn't random. It was like, I'm cussing you out. Like, I know what I'm talking about, and you gonna get it. Like, but he would get a spanking, but he still would do it. Like, yeah.
But did you laugh in front of him, or did you go in the bedroom and laugh?
Well,
it depends upon the day.
We were on them 20-something, so probably sometime we did a little both. We did 20, 23, 24, we probably was laughing and disciplining.
Kind of like Eddie Murphy. Remember when Eddie Murphy Raw came out, and he was a kid and he was doing that show, and he said, and he kicked him in the, and then they laughed, and not knowing who he was going to become today. But you never know. But at the end of the day,
those are the things that you try to teach you. Like, it's okay, kid, you a kid, you can't do this. But I'm telling you, that real live example was, it was. I'm tickled just thinking about it. He's 24 today, but he knows. But at the time, being a parent, like you said, you know, when do you stop? Like, even from the start, with him saying and doing, you know, he would get corrected, but it would be so funny because it would catch you off guard. Like, what does this 2-year-old know about telling somebody he gonna kick they, you know? But it would be like right on point,
like right at the right moment.
Yes.
Well, that's learned behavior.
It was.
Okay, educator.
It really was learned behavior, and you know, taking him from one environment and putting him into our environment was very different for him. And it took, you know, some time. Now, he did become very skilled at knowing when to do it and when not to do it. It wasn't just random. Like, he wouldn't just be out with us doing it because he knew he would get in trouble.
Right.
But he would get caught doing it with the other little kids or talking to them bad, you know, because that's what he knew.
He did it very well, huh?
Yes.
He was professional. His learned behavior was very well.
Yes. And I mean, that's what it was. So I really understand that.
Well, I think we are going to go and take a moment to pay some bills.
When we return, we will have a good read for you. So join back in with us in a few minutes. My Sister's Keeper, PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com, and Facebook Live. See you back in a bit. Thank you for joining in with us again. My Sister's Keeper radio show on Power Play Radio Network at powerplayradionetwork.com and Power TV. Be sure to check us out on our Instagram and Twitter page at My Sister's Keeper. We are going to go ahead and go into our book review segment.
Deandra's over here dancing. She broke out in the dance. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. That's the kind of day we've had today.
And we have each Monday, first and third Monday, we select a book, what we call a good read. So Deandra is going to give us our good read today.
So our good read today is titled "Own Your Ish." However, it's the "Own Your shot." Yes, stuff. Sugar honey iced tea. Own your sugar honey iced tea.
Yes.
And so this is written by author James Boileau. And basically in his book, he talks about how you can start with a blank slate, fail a few times, do a fraction of what he suggests, and still come away with a better idea of your life and how to live it better than 9 out of 10 of your friends. So he's drawing from experiences in his own life and his experiences his experiences with working with stuck people in frustrating jobs, toxic relationships, and bad habits. He cuts through the noise and outlines dozens of proven techniques and strategies for getting your ish together and making changes in your life. So if you're shopping online, if you want to pick up a Kindle, he has it on Amazon.com. Basically, this book it's a quick read. It's a good read. It's direct, honest, and filled with personal wisdom and practical advice to own your ish. It'll have you looking at your life in a brand new way. So my Sister's Keepers, a good read of this week is Own Your Sugar Honey Iced Tea. You can find this book at ownyourshit.com. James Boileau, or you can find him on Amazon. Again, he has pages where you will self-reflect and it work through some of the noise, some of the issues, some of the pain, and just actually identifying and knowing your worth. And we teach you that. We said that from our first show. You have to know your worth in order to take a growth leap. And so check that book out. Again, Amazon.com, James Boileau, Own Your Ish.
And then also, we also give you quotes that you can actually hold on to from each show that actually helps you to self-reflect. As Deandra said, one of the things that we like to do is show you, give you tools and resources where you can go back and self-reflect. So not just listen to us and then it goes away, but also when you have to revisit it, there are resources that you can actually go back to. So as she said, you have the book Own Your Sugar Honey Iced Tea. But then also, there's a quote, 2 quotes that I would like to give you, and I'll actually post them on Facebook at the conclusion of tonight's show. One is, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside your story and hustle for your worthiness. And that means a lot. That one is one that you can actually meditate on, because when you begin to dissect it and break it down, then you begin to talk about your own story. And when you talk about your own story, then it makes you own it, makes you become accountable. And it's every aspect of your story, the hurts, the pains, the good, the bad, the ugly. Or you can choose to ignore them, and then you keep hustling, trying to find your own worthiness for yourself, to be able to be accepted and received for the true you, but it's never really the true you. It's the representative. That's right. It's that representative. And then the other one is owning a mistake is greater than faking perfection.
Amen.
I like that one. I love that.
Owning a mistake is greater than faking perfection. You know, there's so many ways I can go with that. I'm going to leave that one. There's so many ways that you can go with that. I mean, when you look at every aspect of your life, how many times have you had to fake something?
Yeah, we were talking fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make
But
it.
doesn't that create like a snowball effect at some point?
Absolutely.
Kind of like the
Because
lies.
you're faking and you're lying. I mean, then, okay, you're fake, Then it's gonna roll into lies.
Or as men say, they just omitted pieces of information.
half truths. That's
You
right.
know.
I
Well, you didn't ask. Really? So you just chose to omit it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
deception.
So I
Deception.
told you that I was just going out with the boys, but and we were just going to Chili's for drinks and to watch the game. But then we left there and then we went somewhere else. And then we went to the Apple House or somewhere else. But I told you I went to Chili's for drinks with the boys.
Right. I just forgot to tell you the
But
other
you
part because it was the last minute
That I kept
Yeah.
going.
that I kept going.
Half truth.
Half
Right.
deception. Horrible.
Well, every time I step out, I have on my red bottoms and I have my Louis Vuitton and
All of it came out of a trunk of a car.
I don't have
Did I say
a dime to my name.
Or it may not be real.
Oh. And if it's not, listen, and if it's not real, again,
You're faking till you make it.
but then again, I look at it like this: if you ask me, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna throw it on the floor and let you know it's a knockoff, so we don't even have to worry about it. Because again, I'm not doing it for show. I'm doing it because I understand who I am. I'm not gonna spend $1,200 on a bag when I can tell you where $1,200 could go. But see, that's all in how we prioritize, and to each his own. So we're not judging anybody. Let's forget about saying that. You know, to each his own. However, when you get to the point where you are impersonating who you are, and again, when it is spread out to other people to where other people are affected, because what you don't know is that you can have that girlfriend that is that person. But guess what? Every time something happens, they're always reaching out to you, asking you for help, asking you to come, to get over it. And when you tell them, hey, maybe if you, cut back on this, maybe if you do this, then you wouldn't be in a situation. I have quote unquote, you have some girlfriends that say, hey, I'm trying to get a better job. Well, guess what? You need a better job. You need to be able to take, go take these courses. Go take these courses, pass it, and then, you move on. So, oh no, they don't say I don't want to take it. They say I can't afford it. And I said, well, did you pay your cable bill this month?
Shut up.
I'm going to watch that cable.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
100 times 12 is what? $1,200 for the class.
Right. And so you bought the bundle. Yeah.
But I think also, you know what? I'm a fool. I thought you said, oh, you know what? Let me tell y'all, my mind just blind moment. I really thought y'all was talking about like you versus bundles, but y'all talking about her bundles. I just had a blind moment. I just told you. You was talking about cable bill this shit with the bundle. So I think you're talking about cable bundle. You're talking about her bundle.
And again, to each his own. If that's what you're gonna do, some people I can.
But own it.
But own it. Own the fact that listen, I'm not where I am because I haven't been putting in the time and I haven't been studying. Own the fact that yes, I work 3 jobs, but I want this better. But you have to look at what's going to give. The moment you start, you have to go into somebody else's life to seek assistance when really there are things that you can rearrange in your own life. You got to be accountable for that. And you have to have real friends that's going to tell you, listen, I'm going to help you out, but I'm cutting you off right here. It's not because I don't love you. It's because, again, you're asking for too much when again, we can always see somebody else's situation better than we can see our own.
Absolutely.
And so at the moment that you claim you have good friends around you, then at what point do you start taking the advice, what we talked about earlier? When are you going to start taking the advice that what they have for you and what they're telling you may just be right now?
Absolutely.
Now,
and it's temporal. It doesn't have to be permanent, or
right.
Sometimes it is permanent. And I think we also have to keep in mind that the emulation or the can't even get the word out. The aura that I'm putting off, I have to also know that there's always someone who's looking at me, who's wanting to be me. And it's not a bad thing. They want characteristics of me. So am I really... But they don't know what I'm doing to get there because I'm not transparent. And then when they ask, I'm faking it till I make it. And it's hard because everybody has somebody that looks up to them, whether it's your kids, whether it's someone who says, I'll give you a prime example. I looked at Danita's birthday pictures. There's no way I could do bright red hair, sexy, crossed in white. I think I would look like... It just wouldn't be me, but I loved it. But at the end of the day, I can say I loved it and be okay with that. But what happens when I really want to step out of my box and have that kind of snazziness about myself. I'm very conservative. So when I want to step out my box, whatever, I am. When I want to step out of my box, which I really do want to step out of my box, but I have to know that I'm comfortable with it. And so I'm okay with Janita saying, that's not you, because, right. But, but we always have to keep in mind that there's somebody who's looking up to us. So we have to be true to ourselves to be able to effectively communicate that to them.
So when you say owning a mistake is greater than faking perfection, I mess up things all the time. Just in the example, just like today, I constantly overbook myself, double book myself, and in getting calendars synced up in my dual roles with the sorority that I play. I was like, okay, so I need a place for this and I need this. And then I look back, I said, oh, OMG, I got the place for that. But then I said, I got to be in Congress at the same time. So let me sleep tonight and then come back tomorrow and get y'all somebody on duty to do this other thing. Because it's like, okay, yes, I can do this, but I already am doing this.
Committed.
So I think for me, just speaking and, for me, I can't. I live such a busy life, I gotta be honest with what I'm doing, and if I make a mistake, I gotta say, okay, I messed up, let's go back and let me fix it, because I don't have time to remember anything that ain't what it should be, or anything that's not true. What you see is what you get. I'm gonna take a selfie, I'm gonna post it on Facebook, I'm gonna post 1,000 things on Facebook, if I'm laying in the bed, whatever. People think I'm out and about doing whatever. I'm at home in the bed doing whatever.
Paparazzi. Paparazzi. Yeah.
It's like, this is who I am, and love it, leave it. Like you said, people are watching. People that I didn't even know were watching. But what they see is consistency. Whatever they see today, they're going to see it tomorrow, or whatever the case may be. Now, they might call me a little over the top sometimes what I do, but I'm just being me, and I've always been like that, very unique, and I own it.
Right. Own your ish.
Now, when I smile today, it's a very different smile than it was when I was going through all of my issues, not acting like nothing was going on, but not saying anything about it, not acknowledging it, and not doing anything about it. Today, I'm going to smile because I've acknowledged, hey, I messed that up. I got to figure this out and get back on track with whatever I got to do for life, and still gonna smile through it.
So those are the quotes that we have. So I hope that when I post them, that you'll actually take them and maybe save them somewhere. I actually download them onto your phone, print them out, post them somewhere. That is our goal, is that there's something that you walk away with that you can actually hold on to, and that will speak volumes into your life, so it creates a better you on the inside, so it can intensify the beauty that you already have on the outside, but now you can stand secure in who you are, and that secureness comes with a boldness of being able to say, I am ... on the inside, and that's why you see who I am on the outside. So that's it for the quotes for today, and I think, where are we now? We're talking about, are we doing hot on the spot?
It's about that time.
Who want to go first?
You.
Sure, let me get it up.
Individual and then
So if you've never seen us do hot on the spot before, we have a box here with some random questions. Each host will draw from the box, and they have to answer the question.
Have to. So, wow, this is deep, especially with everything that's going on. What do you love most about living in this country? Given the climate of the country, I don't have anything to compare it personally to. I've not traveled internationally, so I don't know anything other than what I've seen or read, news or read in a book or anything like that. But I will say what we're supposed to stand for, the freedoms, the liberties, and the justices that we are supposed to portray as a an American citizen. I do like that. I just wish it was reality,
Right.
majority of the time versus what it's printed to be and what it's portrayed to look like.
Who's next?
Oh man.
I know these questions.
Okay, these are getting a little bit. Okay, so my question says, if you could ask Noah one question, what would it be?
Noah in the ark, from the ark.
Is this not? Yeah, this is
Noah from the Bible.
Noah from the Bible. Given that you were being obedient,
Wow.
at what point did the human emotion come over that there were people dying? How did you cope with that?
Oh wow.
Wow.
Knowing. Did you say knowing that?
Knowing
Wow.
that there were people dying, and you could only take your family
Right. And the extension.
and yes,
And animals.
and
Animals before humans.
animals before humans.
Because he was drunk.
If he, I said being that but he'll tell you on his ish that he was being obedient.
He was.
That's how
Because he
he
heard
coped
him
with it.
clear. He heard him
coped
clear.
with it with bottles.
Right. Because there was still a. Sometimes we call to do those things that we were never emotionally prepared for, but again, the after effect was the greater, right? The greater was
Yeah.
later.
The greater is later.
No more water before next time.
Yes.
I don't think we learned from the water.
Oh wow. Really?
I know. Everybody's like, what?
So it says, if you auditioned for American Idol, what song would you sing? Well,
Channel your inner own version.
yeah, nah. I think no. I know. If there was, I would sing "My Name Is Victory." I think I can't remember who sings it. Donald Lawrence? Or no. My name is Victory. So y'all know who we're talking about. Y'all just heard us all sing it underneath. And I would pick that song is because what'd you say? What'd you say?
I said you weren't gonna win with it like that though.
It says if you. I know my name, I know my lane, and I know my ish. Singing is not one. But I would pick that because I think 2 years ago for my birthday, I posted that. And it's because when you listen to the words of the song, and I think about all that I have gone through, it made me who I am today. But the victory came in when I was able to speak on it from a healing state. That there was no more anxiety, there was no more anxiousness, there was no more anger that came behind me talking about it, but I could actually laugh and share who I was. Then I know that I now got the victory over the circumstances and the situations in my life. Do I forget about them? Absolutely not, but I am healed. So, yep. That would be my American Idol song.
And D said you wouldn't win with that one.
That was simply terrible, darling. I'll be Simon
Or
Cowell.
sing
Simon.
like that.
Simon.
You gotta take
Gotta
it.
take it. Don't matter if you
We're gonna move the bar.
Right.
Why did I have to get this one?
because you're last.
He's got a story behind your name. What is it?
Yes.
Name on it.
Well, the name is an Indian name. Came out of a book. I cannot recall at this moment that my mother was reading during the time that she was pregnant with me.
And she took that and the name, the Lake Tawakoni, which those of you that have traveled East Texas have seen Lake Tawakoni. And that's how my name came about. So we have Tawakoni. It's a long name, has about 12, 13 letters, I don't know. I lose count. I have to spell it every time I tell somebody, and that is fine with me. I'm used to it. No, I don't have a nickname that I would like to share with you. That's what people often ask me immediately. Hey, what's your name? What's your name for short? Tawanika. Please call me that. Thank you. So, that's it. That's me.
So there's one last one in the box.
That's a good one.
A group question. Oh, my bad.
The group message.
Name a favorite sound, past or present.
What?
Name of what?
Favorite sound.
So y'all have to understand this hot on the spot is not something that we come up with. It's actually what Mr. Willis and Mr. So you have to understand. I have somebody over here going, not me, just him. But he comes up with, so we never know what the questions are until we actually get it. So we're getting it, so y'all see these expressions and you see us laughing is because it's like, okay, it truly is hot on the spot. In the first few weeks, they were kind of, okay, we could go through them, we could give you the politically correct. Now it's like we got to actually think about it. So now we're talking about name a favorite sound. Really?
So mine is gonna be.
Really? Really?
And I stand by that.
We're gonna go there today.
And I look, and I approve
that message. Danita?
I would have to say I like bass, the sound of bass hitting, not the bass guitar. My beat speaker that's in my trunk.
Oh, you took mine.
I like that music beating down the block.
I'm sorry, the one that sound like a whole bunch of hangers
You
in the back.
took
In the
mine.
back.
No, ma'am.
The rattle.
This is no rattling.
You don't hear that?
Beats by Dre.
Huh?
This is Beats
She's
by
elevated.
Dre.
Oh, okay.
She's no longer faking you all.
No, I've never
She's
had that
elevated.
fakeness. I've always had top-notch sound quality.
Yes, she did. I can vouch that one. I can vouch that one. Yes.
Yes, if nothing else, I had that
Allowed you to have top notch. She had bows and clips.
Yes,
Oh.
Yeah. Resources allowed
We
you.
had Big T.
$99
That was
special.
that rattling of the trunk. That what you know
$99.
about.
But now
Yeah.
that you get Junior that knew how to hook it up
Yeah,
right,
the people hook it up
you're
right.
turning around.
So he didn't take the speaker that was connected to his mama's stereo system.
With the big speaker box in the back of the trunk. Yeah.
No, I was introduced to the clarity of the bass beating down
So
the
you've
block
always
for a long
heard the
time.
music.
Well, you just cut your treble all the way up.
No,
Because it's all about that bass, about that bass.
Bass,
No
about that
trouble.
That's the inner side of us.
Yes.
Tawanika?
I have two. I'm actually gonna have to go with the Nita on the bass. But I didn't have like the top notch because in my little Cavalier that I had in college, I used to be down the block with my little Cavalier, my CD player that you hook the tape up in the tape deck and the jack and the cigarette lighter. And every time I hit a bump, my CD
It's
spilled.
like you
No, it stopped.
That,
Rock
but it had
up.
bass. Yeah.
Bells.
Yeah. Head bobbing. I like the sound of water. I like nature sounds.
Okay.
So sometimes if I suffer at night and I can't sleep, I have a nature sounds app like on my phone that I listen to. It's soothing.
Okay. So I would have to agree with Danita and Tawanika bass.
Yeah, we like that
You know,
music.
I don't have my speakers on, my headphones on now, but I push them deep. I'm probably gonna be deaf after a minute because I push them deep in. Because when I have my days of work, everyone knows when I'm in beast mode because I play NWA. Yes, I have my NWA days. Hey, I wasn't always a good girl, but then my other one would truly have to be, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. Anyone who knows me knows that I tap dance for over 30 years. And to hear the syncopated sounds that the Gregory brothers did, or even there's 2 young men and 2 young ladies now, I can't remember their names, that are doing today, just to hear syncopated downbeat tap sounds just takes me away. I know Misty's probably not watching this, but she added a clip that was in, they did it in Africa. The kids in Africa did it. And she posted it, and it was just phenomenal. And the tap sounds just takes me away. And I think from as a little girl, it was always where I could go and get away and escape. So it's always the sound of tap shoes, along with NWA.
Tap shoes and NWA.
Yes.
Hey.
So, yes. So, we'd love for you to add, what's your hot on the spot, any questions that we had. We'd love for you to post them and share them with us. But as we wrap up for tonight, there is this that I would like to leave with as we sum up today's Own Your Ish. It is so easy to say what others have done to us, but it is much harder to change the story. We have to know what we believe becomes our reality. When we believe that people will use us, step on us, deceive us, lie to us, be mean to us, and etc., it becomes our reality. But the reality is the only thing a person can do to you is mirror back what you believe. So it is important to see your truth, deal with it, and own your ish. You deserve better, and you're definitely worth so much more. So we're going to, what time is it? It's 8:58. So in closing, look, they just got me going on tonight. They just got me on a roll. And I promised somebody I wasn't going to talk tonight, but that didn't have talk as much tonight, but that didn't happen. Really?
We want to shout out to the solar eclipse for today.
Yes.
This is pretty nice. Shout out to all the students who are returning to school today and those who return next week. And last but not least, our condolences and our honor to Dick Gregory. May he rest in heaven. Rest in heaven.
Man of much wisdom.
Much wisdom. And so with that, in closing, to my sister, sometimes you have to forget how you feel and remember who you are and what you deserve. You are my keeper and know that I'm yours first. So straighten your crown and never be afraid to stand out. Inhale confidence, exhale doubt. Until next time, Queens, we are my sister's keeper. SiSSTAS. Yes.
Good show.